Our story today begins upon the restless seas of long ago in the shadowed world of pirates, where life was far from the adventure-filled tales you might have heard. Tonight, as you drift deeper into calm, you will sail through the reality of their world. The hunger, the storms, the blood, and the fear. It is not a place of treasure and glory, but of suffering and struggle, of sickness and betrayal. So, breathe slowly and come with me as the ship of imagination carries us to those cruel waters. The night is quiet except for the hush of the ocean. A ship, weathered and broken, floats upon the swells. Its sails are patched and torn, its ropes frayed. On the deck, shadows stir. Pirates, weary and hollow-eyed, their faces burned by sun and lined by salt. The smell is sharp of rot and sweat, of old wood soaked with years of brine. You can hear the faint groan of the timbers as the sea rocks the vessel, gently from side to side, like a cradle lulling you deeper into stillness. Yet life here was anything but gentle. The horrible life of pirates begins with hunger. They had little food, and what they had was hard, stale, crawling with maggots. Imagine now, sitting cross-legged upon the rough planks of the deck, chewing on a biscuit that breaks your teeth before it bends, filled with insects. Yet you must swallow because there is no other choice. The men around you cough, some hacking up blood, others scratching at sores that never heal. The air is thick with the scent of sickness, because on these seas there was no clean water, no medicine, only the endless waiting for the next wave of disease to claim another crewmate. And still, the sea rolls on. The pirates slept in cramped spaces, pressed shoulder to shoulder, their hammocks swaying in the dark belly of the ship. The sound of rats scurrying, of waves hammering the hull, of men crying out in nightmares. This was the lullaby of their nights. No privacy, no comfort, only the constant creak of ropes and the fear that the next storm might tear the ship apart. Imagine lying there, unable to move freely, your skin sticky with sweat, your ears filled with snores, coughs, and the whimper of fevered men. This is the life you would not survive. And yet, there was more than hunger and sickness. There was fear, the fear of being hunted, because pirates were hated. Kings and navies hunted them relentlessly. Ships flying black flags were hunted like animals, and when caught, they were not spared. Capture meant torture, hanging, or worse, being left to rot as a warning to others. Every day at sea was a gamble, not only against storms and sickness, but against capture and death. Now, let your breath fall deeper, slower, as though the waves themselves are guiding you further into rest. Each inhale like the swell of the ocean, each exhale like the fall of the tide. You are safe here, only observing, drifting along the edge of dreams. As the story unfolds around you, you can picture the captain standing tall on the quarterdeck, his face a mask of scars and salt. His voice is harsh, barking orders, his eyes wild from rum and paranoia. Discipline aboard such a ship was cruel, for pirates lived without mercy even toward one another. A man could be whipped for disobedience, marooned on a desert island with nothing but a pistol, or simply thrown overboard. Survival depended on obedience, on strength, and sometimes on sheer brutality. And yet, they dreamed, even in such horror. Pirates dreamed of treasure, of freedom, of a life beyond the rules of kings. The sea, though cruel, promised them escape from the rigid chains of society. That is why they sailed, why they risked everything. But what they found was rarely the gold and silver you imagine. Often, raids yielded only small goods, barrels of flour, kegs of wine, bolts of cloth, and for such meager gains they shed blood. Blood that stained the planks, that soaked into the sails, that haunted their dreams. The nights were the worst. Picture it now as you drift even deeper. The moon glows pale on the water. The sea stretches endless and black. The ship a lonely speck in the void. The wind moans through the rigging like a ghost. And the men sit hunched together, telling stories of monsters, sea serpents, cursed ships, and ghostly sailors doomed to wander forever. Superstition ruled their minds. They feared the wrath of the sea, the curse of the dead, the punishment of God, and every crack of thunder, every flash of lightning felt like judgment. The horrible life of pirates is not the adventurous dream you have heard. It is sleepless nights, empty bellies, rotting teeth, festering wounds, the ever-present stench of death, and still the ocean rocks you gently, as though mocking the suffering with its eternal rhythm. As you listen, let your eyes grow heavier, your breath slower. Perhaps you can imagine the deck beneath your feet, rough and splintered, the salt air stinging your face, and the sound of ropes groaning as the ship sways. And yet, you are safe here, simply observing, letting the images pass before you, like clouds across a soft night sky. Deeper now, softer now, drifting further into the waves of calm. And yet, the story continues. Close your eyes a little deeper now, feeling the hush of the sea against your imagination. Waves rolling slowly, like the breath in your chest. With every inhale, you draw in a fresh, salty breeze, and with every exhale, you let go of the noise of the day. Let yourself soften into the rhythm, calm, safe, and drifting. Our story continues as we drift further out into the waters, into a world of pirates, where harshness lived alongside adventure. The life of these men and women was never as glamorous as tales might suggest. Their nights were long, their bodies ached from storms, and their hearts often grew heavy from the loneliness of endless horizons. And yet, beneath the terror and the fear, there is a lull of rhythm, the lull of wind and wood, creaking under the pressure of the sea. Feel yourself sinking into that rhythm, almost rocking with the ship itself, as though the hammock of history cradles you tonight. The pirate's day often began not with rest, but with the sting of dawn and a deck already drenched in seawater. Imagine the dampness clinging to your skin, the smell of sweat mingled with the tar, and the sharp tang of brine stinging your nose. Food was scarce, often hard bread that broke into sharp crumbs, salted meat so tough it could crack a tooth, or thin stew that left bellies rumbling even after the last spoonful. Picture yourself there, tired, underfed, but bound to duty. Pirates were not merely free adventurers, but prisoners of the sea's merciless demands. Their survival hinged on harsh discipline and brutal loyalty, and the endless uncertainty of whether the next ship sighted was prey, predator, or doom itself. Yet as you picture it, let your breathing stay slow, easy, and soothing, because in this story, you are safe, simply watching from the edges, as if wrapped in a blanket of time. The deck, slick with rain, often tilted sharply underfoot. Pirates learn to walk in rhythm with the waves, their bodies swaying unconsciously, never entirely still. Let yourself sway with them now, in your imagination, the same way you sway gently in your bed. Hear the creak of ropes high above, sails flapping as wind whipped through the canvas. There was no softness here, no comfort of home, only the endless expanse of sea and sky. And yet, if you listen closely, there is a steady pulse beneath it all, the heartbeat of the ocean, steady, ancient, rocking you ever so gently into calm. Violence, too, was never far. When enemy ships appeared, the calmness of routine shattered into the chaos of cannon fire. Imagine for a moment the booming thunder echoing across the waters, the acrid smoke of gunpowder filling lungs, choking and burning. Steel clashed, men shouted, and fear surged like a storm. But as you listen now, notice how even the memory of that chaos softens in your mind. The noise fades into a distant rumble, like faraway thunder that never reaches your safe shore. You are only an observer, resting and breathing, while the world of the pirates moves like a fading dream. Punishments were brutal too, and pirates feared their captains as much as the sea. Whips cut through skin, and disobedience was often met with cruel trials. Or worse, being abandoned to the waves. Think of the loneliness of being cast adrift, the ocean swallowing a single figure as the ship sailed away. Yet even here, in imagining the bleakness, you remain calm, floating, carried by soft waves in your mind. The cruelty passes through you like a shadow, leaving behind only a deeper appreciation of the comfort you now feel. Nights aboard were restless. Pirates slept in cramped quarters. Hammocks hung so close that one's breath mingled with another's. The air was thick with smoke, sweat, and the constant groaning of wood shifting. Yet sometimes, above it all, stars stretched endlessly, clear and cold, painting the black sky with the silver. You may imagine yourself stepping quietly onto the deck, barefoot against the damp wood, lifting your gaze. The stars seem endless, infinite, a reminder of something larger, something timeless. And in this moment, your mind feels light, expansive, and free. You breathe a little deeper, as if taking in the vastness of the heavens above. Illness haunted the crew like a quiet predator. Scurvy hollowed cheeks, fever-burned skin, and wounds rarely healed cleanly in the damp salt air. The sound of coughing often blended with the waves at night, each ragged breath a reminder of how fragile life was. Yet, as you listen now, these sounds fade into whispers, leaving you with the steady inhale and exhale of your own body, calm, secure, resting. The pirates may have suffered, but you are not suffering. You are sinking deeper into rest, safe and shielded from their storms, floating peacefully through their story as if through a dream. They stole, they plundered, they lived harshly, and died harshly. Yet despite the horror of their days, there were moments of strange beauty. The red glow of sunset against the sails, the hush of dawn breaking across calm seas, the rare laughter of comrades sharing a fleeting moment of peace. Imagine standing there with the salty wind cool against your face. As the sea lies quiet and endless before you, feel the rhythm again, the steady lull of waves, the creak of the ship, and the whisper of sleep tugging gently at your thoughts. The horrible life of pirates was not one you could endure long. Hunger, thirst, pain, and fear made each day uncertain. And yet, as you drift in their story, you do not need to endure. You are here only to rest, to listen, to imagine the world as it once was, and to let it pass by like clouds across the night sky. With every word, your body loosens more, your breath grows slower, your thoughts quieter. So close your eyes now, letting the story's edges blur into softness. The ship rocks gently, endlessly, but you are safe, only watching, only listening, carried along like driftwood on a calm sea. Feel the deep, hypnotic rhythm of the waves pulling you toward the shores of sleep, where your dreams may wander but your body rests. The pirates may face their horrors, but you drift above them, beyond them, into quiet peace. And so, as the chapter of their struggles fades, you are left with only calmness, warmth, and a deep sense of drifting further into rest. Your eyes are heavy, your body light, and the sea cradles you gently, endlessly. For while the sea was vast, their world was small. Imagine being confined for months on end to a ship made of creaking timbers, every step echoing through the planks, every sound belonging to someone else's breathing, coughing, or cursing. Privacy vanished. Even one's thoughts were rarely their own, drowned out by orders shouted across the deck, or by the endless, sighing call of the waves. To live as a pirate was to live pressed together, body against body, sweat against sweat, in conditions that wore away not only flesh, but spirit. Yet, as you imagine this closeness, you yourself feel the opposite. Expansion, freedom. Your body is spread wide into comfort, your mind clear, as though you are lying not in a cramped hammock, but beneath an open sky of endless stars. Food and drink, already scarce, were often foul. Picture barrels of water gone green with slime, the taste sour and heavy on the tongue. Think of bread riddled with worms, each bite a grim necessity rather than pleasure. Salted meat, hard as stone, filled mouths with brine, leaving thirst unquenchable. And yet they ate, because hunger was stronger than disgust. In your imagination, though, the rough bitterness softens. You need not taste what they tasted. Instead, you only see it from a distance, your own tongue resting quietly, your mouth soft, your throat smooth as you swallow gently and easily. Alcohol was their escape. Rum passed from hand to hand, the only warmth they could summon against the cold indifference of the sea. It dulled pain, silenced fear, and bound them in fleeting laughter that cracked through the otherwise constant gloom. But drunkenness carried dangers, quarrels, knives flashing in the night, and men toppled overboard, lost to the black waters forever. Imagine that dark water, so vast, swallowing sound itself. Yet as you imagine it, let it become soothing rather than frightening. Think of the water as velvet, wrapping you, carrying you, rocking you closer toward stillness. Their teeth rotted, their gums bled, wounds festered under filthy bandages. The ship's surgeon, if there was one at all, often had nothing but crude saws, knives, and rough cloth. Picture the pain. No anesthetic, no comfort. Only the press of comrades holding you down as limbs were cut away. The screams mingled with the sea breeze, drifting off into the horizon. And yet, as you listen, there is no pain for you. Their horror becomes distant thunder, fading further and further, until it is only an echo, leaving behind silence, leaving behind peace. Weather itself was an enemy. Storms crashed suddenly, winds shrieking through rigging like banshees, waves taller than houses slamming against the ship, trying to tear it apart. Men clung desperately to ropes, skin shredded, knuckles raw, their muscles trembling against nature's rage. In your mind, feel that storm now, but softened. Imagine lightning far away, only flashes across the horizon. The waves you feel are gentle, like the rocking of a cradle. Instead of terror, you are soothed, comforted, wrapped in the arms of the storm's quieter memory. When calm returned, it was no kindness. Sometimes the sea went still for days. No wind, no movement, sails drooping uselessly. The air grew heavy, hot, thick with flies. Food spoiled faster, water dwindled, tempers flared. The stillness was a prison, as suffocating as the fiercest gale. Yet here, in your own stillness, you are free. You are resting, not trapped. Your stillness is peace itself, like a calm lagoon hidden far from the chaos of their world. Punishments, too, grew darker the deeper one looks. Mutiny always lingered in whispers, and betrayal carried the harshest costs. Some were lashed to the mast, the whip biting until blood ran freely. Others were tied and dragged through the sea, barnacles and salt tearing their flesh. The most feared fate was marooning, left alone on a deserted island, with only a flask of water, a pistol, and the slow creep of loneliness. Imagine the silence of that island, the heat, the emptiness. Yet in your mind, this isolation becomes comfort. The silence you imagine is not terror, but sanctuary, a hush that invites rest. It is your own quiet now, soft and endless, lulling you deeper. And through it all, death hovered like a shadow. Many pirates never reached old age. Battle, disease, hunger, or betrayal claimed them early. The sea became their grave, the waves closing over them in final silence. But for you, this imagery becomes not despair, but release. The idea of sinking into water transforms in your mind into sinking into sleep. Soft, natural, infinite, safe. The sea does not take you. It holds you. It supports you. It rocks you gently into rest. Yet even among so much hardship, there were moments that glowed faintly, fragile as candlelight. The sight of dawn breaking across endless waters, painting the horizon with gold. The lull of calm nights when the ship sailed smoothly, stars glittering like scattered jewels across a velvet blackness. The laughter of comrades, brief but real, warming even the hardest of hearts. And perhaps, for a fleeting second, the pirates felt what you feel now. Rest, however temporary. A pause, a breath, a moment suspended beyond suffering. Let yourself rest in that moment with them. Feel the hush of the night around you. The ship fades, the sea fades, and all that remains is the rhythm. Slow, steady, deep. Your body is heavy. Your mind is light. The story drifts like mist, fading into the distance. And all you hold on to is the calm, the safety, the warmth wrapping around you now. As you listen to the end of this chapter, your thoughts grow hazy, soft at the edges, dissolving like foam into the tide. You are not at sea. You are not a pirate. You are simply resting, held by the rhythm of story and breath, rocking ever closer into the depths of sleep. Close your eyes gently now, letting the lids grow heavy, like sails folding after a long voyage. You've drifted with me through the harsher truths of the pirate's life, the rot, the hunger, the endless storms. But now, in this next part of the journey, let us turn toward the softer mysteries that wrapped their world. For in the stillness between battle and storm, pirates lived by more than violence. They lived by whispers, omens, and the strange beliefs that followed them across oceans. Imagine yourself leaning against the wooden rail of a creaking deck at twilight. The horizon is bruised purple, the air thick with salt, the sea a great mirror swallowing the light. Around you, the crew murmurs quietly, voices softer than you'd expect from men so rough. For when night fell, superstition ruled stronger than any captain. They believed the sea had ears, and that careless words could summon storms, or spirits best left sleeping. And so you too lower your voice now, as if speaking too loudly might wake something ancient beneath the waves. They said whistling on deck could call the wind, but it might also tempt tempests far beyond control. Sailors kept their lips pressed tight, humming low instead, letting sound vibrate through their bones. Feel that hum now, not in sound, but in sensation, like a vibration in your chest, steady, soothing, grounding you as the ship beneath your imagination rocks gently. The cry of seabirds was another omen. Gulls circling overhead meant land was near, a promise of relief. But if an albatross appeared, it was sacred, a soul of the sea itself. To harm it was to bring ruin, storms that would not end, sails torn, and men swallowed by waves. Some said those birds carried the souls of dead sailors, gliding forever above waters that claimed them. To see one was to glimpse death itself, a warning that your own voyage might end soon. And yet here, in your quiet bed, imagine that ghost ship, not as threat, but as guardian, an ancient vessel sailing ahead of you, clearing the way, keeping you safe from harm. Its silence becomes your silence. Its presence becomes your protection. Stars were their guides, shimmering maps stretched across heaven. Watch them twinkle, distant and eternal, as though each one is a small lantern left burning just for you, keeping you safe as you drift deeper and deeper. They carried charms, too, small talismans tucked into pockets, strings of beads, tiny carved figures. Some wore gold rings, not just for treasure, but because they believed gold protected against drowning. A shield against the sea itself. Imagine now, slipping such a charm into your own palm. Feel its cool weight smooth against your skin, as though it holds within it every prayer ever whispered by sailors. That charm is yours now, a symbol of protection as you drift toward rest. The sea was alive, they believed, not just with fish, but with spirits, with tempests, with creatures half seen in flashes of moonlight, whales that rose like floating islands, their backs gleaming silver, serpents that coiled in the deeps, stirring currents with their vast tails. Some swore they saw maidens in the foam, faces pale and eyes dark as the abyss, singing songs too sweet to resist. Men leaned over rails, reaching only to vanish into the waves. Yet here, their song becomes safe, soft, like a lullaby humming in the background of your thoughts. You hear it, not with your ears, but with the quietest part of your mind, a melody that rocks you deeper into calm. There were rituals, too, performed whenever they crossed into new waters. Some tossed coins into the sea as offerings. gone and the sea was black, pirates whispered of monsters, lurking just beyond sight. Shadows that followed their ships, shapes, larger than anything natural, waiting below the keel. The terror of not knowing what moved beneath them gnawed at even the bravest hearts. And yet here, in your own darkness, the unknown becomes your friend. The shadows are soft. They hold no teeth, no danger. They are blankets, wrapping you, comforting you, cradling you into sleep. Their fears, their rituals, their charms, all were ways to survive a world that offered them no mercy. But for you, these same images are transformed. The sea is no longer cruel, but kind. The stars do not warn, but guide. The whispers do not threaten, but soothe. You drift now in the middle of that transformed sea. All that remains is calm, the hush of the sea, the lull of superstition turned to comfort, and as the last images dissolve, you find yourself on the edge of sleep, held safe in the arms of story and stillness. The pirates are gone now, their world fading into mist. What remains is you, quiet, resting, adrift in the sweetest waters of your own dreams. Let your breath deepen again, long and slow, as though the very rhythm of the ocean has settled within your chest. You are safe here, in this drifting space between waking and dreaming, and the story carries you further, gently, like a tide that always knows its way. We have spoken of the hardships, the hunger, the strange omens that haunted those who sailed under black flags. Now, let us sail toward another shore of the pirate's life, one less often told, yet filled with a strange warmth. For even amidst violence and storms, there were moments of laughter, of song, of quiet humanity shared between rough souls. Imagine now that you are slipping into one of those rare evenings of calm, when the ship rocks slowly under the stars, and the crew has time to breathe, to remember that they were human before they were pirates. A fiddler takes out his battered instrument, wood worn smooth from years of salt air. He draws the bow across the strings, and a thin, wavering note rises into the night. Others join in, hands clapping against thighs, boots stamping lightly against the deck. Voices rise, hoarse and unpolished, but strong. The song is not for beauty, but for togetherness, each man's voice blending into the next. Picture it now, the sway of shadows against lantern light, the circle of rough faces softened by smiles, the low thrum of melody carried over the sea. You are there with them, not as an intruder, but as one more voice, humming softly, letting the rhythm wash through you until it feels like a heartbeat, steady and sure. The food, though meager, becomes a feast in such moments. Hardtack softened in broth, salted meat carved thin, a stolen cask of wine passed carefully, hand to hand. You take a bite of the bread in your imagination. It crumbles dry, but tastes sweeter, because of hunger and company. The sip of wine burns a little, warming your chest, carrying away the last chill of night air. Simple pleasures made grand, not by richness, but by gratitude. Feel that warmth now, a small glow spreading through your body, easing your shoulders, softening your jaw, loosening every muscle. And then, the stories begin. Sailors were storytellers before they were anything else, trading tales as freely as coins. Some speak of battles, of cannon fire and plunder, but most drift toward wonders. Men swear they've seen islands where the sand glitters like silver, where fruit drops from trees into open palms, where no storm ever dares to blow. Others whisper of creatures with eyes that shine like lanterns beneath the waves, or voices that echo in caves, guiding the lost toward treasure. Each tale bends the truth, but none of that matters. It is not the accuracy of the story that counts, but the dream it carries. The possibility that the sea holds more than hardship, that beauty lies waiting just beyond the horizon. Let yourself listen now, not to words, but to the cadence of their telling, the rise and fall of voices, the laughter at impossible details, the way silence lingers after a particularly haunting description. You do not need to remember the stories themselves. Only the rhythm matters. Only the sound, like waves breaking against the hull, over and over, lulling you deeper. As the night stretches on, some men grow quiet, gazing upward at the stars. Others carve small tokens from wood, their knives working gently. One shapes a tiny ship, another a bird. Another simply smooths the surface of a stick until it shines. These carvings are small anchors of meaning, carried in pockets, tucked under pillows, tied to bits of string around necks. Imagine now that you too hold such a carving. It rests warm in your palm, the edges worn to comfort by touch. It is a piece of safety, a fragment of earth and wood that grounds you even as you drift across endless waters. The air cools, carrying the smell of salt and faint smoke from the lanterns. The sails above creak softly, shifting with the night breeze. Around you, one by one, men lean back, closing their eyes, their voices falling into silence. Snores mingle with the whisper of waves. The music fades. The ship itself seems to sigh, as though settling into slumber with its crew. And you too feel that weight of drowsiness now, heavier with each breath. There is one last ritual before sleep, though. Some whisper prayers, not to gods of churches, but to the sea herself, to the stars, to the strange powers they believed held dominion here. Not polished words, not memorized verses. Simple pleas, spoken low. Keep us safe. Bring us land. Let me see another dawn. These prayers, though centuries old, still linger in the air, like echoes woven into salt. And now, as you breathe in, imagine drawing one of those blessings into your chest. With each inhale, you take in safety. With each exhale, you release fear. The deck grows quiet. The lanterns dim. Overhead, the stars spread endlessly, as though painted across velvet. The sea, so restless in daylight, becomes still, its surface glassy, reflecting every spark of light above. You lie there with them, on the wooden boards, feeling the ship cradle you, like a mother rocking her child. The night is endless, but it does not feel cold or empty. It feels vast, protective, a blanket of sky and sea wrapping around you. Your thoughts slow. Your breath deepens. Each moment stretches long and unbroken, like the horizon itself. You are no longer simply imagining. You are there, inside this quiet world, your body floating, your mind untethered, your heart calm. And as the last notes of music fade into memory, you sink fully into stillness. The pirates sleep, the sea sleeps, and you too are slipping now, further and further into dreams where even time cannot follow. Breathe deeply again. Feels how the air drifts in, cool and slow, and leaves your chest softer, lighter, with every exhale. The ship still rocks gently beneath you, its rhythm steady, unhurried, as though the sea itself is singing a lullaby. You are safe here. The night holds you, and as you listen, the story carries you deeper, further away from the noise of thought, toward a stillness where only the ocean speaks. Our story today drifts onward through the fragile dawn. Imagine the first touch of sunlight brushing across the deck. It is pale, golden, shy at first, as though it too hesitates before waking the sleeping crew. The air smells of damp wood and salt, and you can almost hear the faint crackle of warmth as the light kisses the planks. One by one the men stir, not with the suddenness, but with the heaviness of lives lived on little rest. Their bodies ache, their eyes squint against the brightness. But for now the morning is calm. You notice the horizon stretching out in every direction, endless blue upon blue, the sea reflecting the sky in such a way that it seems there is no boundary between them. A bird drifts overhead, calling once, before vanishing back into the distance. This, to pirates, was always a sign. Land not too far, food perhaps within reach, safety or danger, hiding beyond the line where sea met earth. And though their days were harsh, in that moment there is quiet wonder. Let yourself feel that same wonder now. The vastness, the openness, the infinite calm of the horizon. They begin their day with small rituals, simple acts that tether them to routine. Some splash cold seawater onto their faces, gasping at the shock, but welcoming the freshness. Others chew on hard crusts of bread, softened with whatever water remains, washing it down with groggy gulps. A few check their weapons, wiping rust, tying loose straps, sharpening edges that will be tested again. But for a little while there is no cannon fire, no storm, only breath, only stillness, only the rhythm of a new day. The captain rises last, his shadow falling across the deck. His voice is rough, but steady, commanding without cruelty. Orders are given in few words. Set the sails, check the stores, watch the horizon. And like a living body, the ship awakens. Sails unfurl, creaking in the breeze. Ropes slap softly against wood, and the vessel leans, eager once more to glide across the waves. The sound of it is steady, repetitive, like a heartbeat against your ears. The groan of timber, the flap of canvas, the hush of water against the hull. These sounds join with your own breath, carrying you gently, deeper still. Yet even in these peaceful hours, life as a pirate was never soft. Hunger was always near. Water, rationed so carefully, grew warm and stale, carrying the faint taste of the barrels. Food spoiled quickly under the sun. Rats became both pests and meals, depending on the hunger of the day, and illness crept silently. Scurvy eating away at gums, fevers breaking men in their hammocks, wounds festering where no clean hands could tend them. Picture this now, not as horror, but as part of the dream. Shadows that linger at the edges of the story, reminding you that survival was never guaranteed. And yet, through these shadows, men still laughed, still sang, still found light in the cracks of darkness. Sometimes, when days stretched long with no land in sight, the crew turned to games. Dice carved from bone rattled in small wooden cups. Wagers whispered over tiny piles of coins, or bits of cloth, or promises of service. Cards worn thin from handling flickered between fingers, slapped down on barrels with bursts of laughter or curses. These games were more than distraction. They were escape, tiny illusions of control in a world ruled by chance. Imagine the clatter of dice, the shuffle of cards, the murmur of voices. Steady, repetitive, hypnotic, like a lull in your mind, softening thoughts into quiet. Then there were the skies, so vast, so commanding, that even the roughest of men could not help but marvel. At night, constellations guided their course. Stars glimmered like scattered jewels, unchanging, eternal. A navigator traced invisible lines between them, his voice low, marking direction, measuring time. By day, the sun burned hot, but brought comfort too, for it meant life, warmth, and certainty. Clouds shaped themselves into animals, into faces, into dreamscapes that only tired eyes could imagine. Picture those skies above you now, deep, endless, safe. You are beneath them, small, but never lost, always guided, always held. The sea, though treacherous, was also their companion. It shifted endlessly, sometimes smooth as glass, sometimes churning and wild, but always alive. The crew feared it, respected it, cursed it, and prayed to it. They saw omens in its moods, meaning in its tides. At times, dolphins leapt alongside the hull, their sleek forms flashing in sunlight, playful and free. At others, sharks circled silently, shadows beneath the waves, reminders of the fate that awaited any who fell overboard. The sea was truth. The sea was everything. And now, as you listen, you too are drifting upon its surface, letting its rhythm cradle you deeper and deeper into calm. But amidst this harsh life, there was also brotherhood. Men who might once have been strangers on distant shores became family upon the decks. They defended one another in battle, shared rations in hunger, sang together in joy, mourned together in loss. Bonds forged not of blood, but of survival. If one fell sick, another offered water. If one faltered, another lifted rope or sail in his stead. There was cruelty too, yes, betrayal, violence, greed. But in the quiet hours, brotherhood often outweighed it all. Imagine now that you feel such a bond, an unseen circle around you, a warmth of belonging. You are not alone. You are held as surely as the ship holds its crew. The day stretches long, and though hardship presses always near, the crew moves forward. Forward is all they know. Toward land, toward treasure, toward survival. And so the ship sails on, its mast tall, its sails full, its shadow cutting across the water. You sail with it, carried further into the dream, where time no longer matters, where only breath and sea remain. And as the sun begins to lower once more, painting the horizon in hues of gold and fire, the pirates rest again. The day closes, the night opens, the cycle continues. Just as your thoughts close and your dreams open, and you drift slowly, deeply into stillness. The ocean is vast, and so are the dreams it carries. As you drift further with the ship, feel again the way the deck sways beneath your feet, or perhaps beneath your mind. A rhythm so constant, so natural that you no longer notice where your body ends and the vessel begins. You are simply a part of it now, breathing as the ship breathes, rocking as the sea rocks, flowing in quiet union with all that surrounds you. The pirates live by this same rhythm, not because they choose to, but because they must. The sea demands obedience. It demands surrender. And so, each man aboard learns to bend his will to the tides, to the winds, to the rolling thunder of distant skies. And yet, even within this obedience, they carve out spaces for themselves, moments of laughter, of song, of memory, of silence. On this particular day, as the sun reaches its zenith, the heat grows unbearable. The deck planks are hot enough to sting bare feet. Shirts cling damp with sweat, and lips crack from thirst. The crew moves sluggishly, shadows painted beneath their eyes. You can feel it yourself, this heaviness, this weight pressing down, urging you to slow, to still, to simply breathe and wait. And waiting becomes its own kind of rest. Then, a cloud drifts across the sky, shading the ship for a fleeting moment. A breeze follows, cool and unexpected, slipping like a hand across your cheek. The men sigh, some even laugh at the sudden gift. Small blessings like this meant everything at sea. And as you feel that breeze now in your imagination, allow it to carry away the weight of the day. Softer, lighter, calmer. Later, when the work is done, some gather near the bow and begin to hum, low at first, like the distant roll of thunder. Then stronger, voices joining one by one, until the air hums with song. Sea shanties, simple, repetitive, rhythmic chants that keep spirits lifted and hands busy. Their voices blend into a single pulse, a living heartbeat of sound. Imagine it, rough voices, yet steady, carried across the waves. Feel the repetition soothe you, the way each verse folds into the next, until all meaning dissolves into pure rhythm, like waves, like breath, like sleep. But life on the water was never predictable. Clouds gather on the horizon, thick and gray. The wind sharpens, snapping sails taut, rattling ropes against wood. A storm is coming. The crew moves quickly, no longer sluggish, but sharp, with urgency. Commands are shouted, feet pound the deck, hands pull ropes with fierce determination. You can see the tension, feel it like static in the air. The sea heaves, rising and falling beneath the ship in restless swells. And then the storm breaks. Rain lashes the deck in sheets, soaking every man to the bone. Lightning splits the sky, illuminating faces twisted in effort and fear. Thunder shakes the air itself, a booming drum that drowns every other sound. The ship groans, tilts, rights itself, tilts again. Water crashes over the sides, sweeping across the planks, soaking, seeping, threatening to drag men away. It is chaos, but it is also awe, raw, primal awe at the sheer force of nature. Close your eyes and hear it now, the roar of rain, the crash of waves, the rumble of thunder. Feel it safely, as though you're sheltered in a cocoon of sound, watching, but untouched. The storm is not against you. It is simply alive, wild, powerful, magnificent, and slowly, as all storms do, it passes. The rain lightens, the thunder softens, the clouds thin, the sea grows calm again, as though nothing ever happened. When the sun peeks out once more, it glitters across the wet deck like 1,000 tiny diamonds. The men slump in exhaustion, but relief too. Some laugh, some pray, some simply close their eyes. And in that fragile quiet after the storm, the world feels gentler, cleaner, calmer. Let that calm settle into you too, washing away any heaviness, leaving only softness behind. Night comes swiftly after such storms. The horizon glows with deep orange, then fades into violet, then into black. Stars pierce the sky one by one, clear and sharp after the rain. The crew gathers again, not for work, but for comfort. Stories are told in low voices, tales of past battles, of treasures won and lost, of ports where the air smelled of spices and women's laughter. Each tale is colored by exaggeration, but none of that matters. The stories are warmth. They are a way to remember that beyond the endless sea, there is still a world waiting. Sometimes, a man will pull out a small instrument, perhaps a fiddle, perhaps a flute carved from bone, and let it sing into the night. The notes are thin, fragile against the vastness of the ocean, yet they carry. They weave between the stars, dance across the deck, slip into the ears of tired men, and soften them into sleep. Hear it yourself now, faint but clear, a melody so delicate it feels as though it could break at any moment. Let it soothe you, let it guide you into deeper stillness. Not every night was peaceful. There were whispers, too, of mutiny, of betrayal, of gold hidden somewhere just out of reach. Pirates lived on thin edges between loyalty and greed. But for now, in this moment, the whispers are far away. All you feel is the rocking of the ship, the soft melody, the stars above, and the sea stretching endlessly below. The days blur together at sea. One sunrise melts into another. Work, hunger, laughter, storms, stillness. Life aboard a pirate ship was both hardship and wonder, suffering and freedom. And within that strange mix, there was always a thread of dream. Dream of treasure, of land, of home. For some, it was gold they longed for. For others, it was simply the feel of earth beneath their feet again. For you, it is simply rest, and the dream unfolding gently, pulling you ever deeper. Imagine now that you lean over the side of the ship, staring into the dark water below. The surface ripples, reflecting stars and broken patterns. Then, a flicker of light. Another, and another. Bioluminescent creatures swirling beneath the surface, glowing like fireflies in the deep. The sea glimmers with a soft green-blue light, alive, mysterious, endless. The pirates pause too, mesmerized. Even the roughest of men can fall silent before such beauty. And as you watch the lights drift and shimmer, you feel your thoughts scatter and fade, glowing faintly, then dissolving into stillness. The ship sails on. Time passes, though none aboard can say how much. Days, weeks. The sea does not mark them clearly, but always the rhythm continues. Work, rest, hunger, laughter, storm, calm. Breath in, breath out. Forward, always forward. And in this endless forward motion, there is peace. For the sea holds you, the ship holds you, the story holds you, You are safe. You are steady. You are carried gently. Sleep drifts closer now, like a fog rolling softly over the deck. Imagine it curling around your ankles, rising slowly, tenderly, until it wraps around your whole body. It does not weigh you down. It lifts you, lightens you, floats you into dream. The voices of the pirates fade. The creak of the ship grows distant. The sea softens into a hum. And in that hum, you let go of thought, let go of time, let go of everything but the stillness. And as you drift deeper, you carry with you the memory of this journey, of stars, of storms, of songs, of light beneath the waves. They linger, not as sharp images, but as feelings. Calm, steady, safe. These feelings cradle you now, rocking you gently, until all that remains is rest. Rest, endless and deep. Rest, as wide as the horizon. Rest, as steady as the tide. And you sleep as the ship sails on. Our story today begins on the edge of dawn. The horizon is a pale gray, streaked faintly with pink, and the waves slap dully against a battered vessel. It is not the glorious ship of treasure legends, not gleaming with golden trim or polished decks. No, this is a pirate ship in its truest form. Splintered boards, ropes fraying, sails patched like an old beggar's cloak. The smell hits you first. The thick, sour stench of sweat, salt, tar, and unwashed bodies. Rats scuttle freely here, bold and unafraid, for they are as much a part of this crew as the men themselves. The pirates stir awake from cramped hammocks that sway beneath the deck, hammocks damp with mildew, infested with lice. Their eyes are bloodshot, their skin sallow, their bodies weary from yet another restless night of hunger and itching. You see them shuffle to their duties, bare feet slapping wood, hands blistered and cracked from rope burns. One pirate coughs violently, hacking into his palm, and you notice a blackened gum line, teeth rotting, breath foul with the sickness of scurvy. There is no doctor here, no medicine, only superstition, salt water, and rum, which numbs but never heals. The food that sustains them is hardly food at all. Hardtack biscuits so riddled with worms that men close their eyes as they bite, crunching through insects as if they were crumbs. Water barrels, once fresh, have turned to slime and algae, and so the men drink rum in its place, day and night, dulling hunger and fear with intoxication. Outside, the sea does not soothe them. It is vast and merciless, the endless horizon mocking their desperation. When the sun beats down, it scorches their skin raw, blisters forming across shoulders already burned. When storms rise, the ship groans as though it will break apart. Masts bending like twigs, waves crashing over, drenching every man in freezing spray. There is no shelter from nature. On these seas, you are exposed to every cruelty the world can muster. Now imagine, as you float deeper into this tale, the endless monotony broken only by the constant presence of fear. Fear of rival pirates who would slit their throats in the night for the promise of plunder. Fear of naval ships whose cannons would reduce this fragile vessel to splinters. Fear of mutiny, for among pirates there is little loyalty, only greed, even fear of each other, for drunken brawls often end with knives. and the deck soaks with blood before anyone thinks to stop it. And yet, when an opportunity for battle does arrive, it is not the grand, swashbuckling duel of romance stories. No, it is a desperate, chaotic slaughter. Imagine two ships colliding, the crash of wood on wood, splinters flying like daggers. Smoke fills the air as cannons thunder, tearing holes through sails, smashing men into pieces. Pirates, barefoot and ragged, swing aboard with cutlasses not gleaming, but rusted, sticky with old stains. Screams echo over the waves, cries of men gutted open, the wet slap of blood across planks. No one fights cleanly. It is teeth and claws, blades and bludgeons, until the victor is nothing but the crew who survived longest. Those who fall do not rest gently. They are thrown into the sea, their bodies swallowed by hungry sharks circling beneath. And when victory does come, it is hollow. Treasure is rare, and more often they seize barrels of food, casks of drink, maybe some cloth or powder. The loot is divided, but with it comes suspicion. Did the quartermaster cheat? Did the captain pocket more? Soon, tempers flare, blades flash, and sometimes more die in the division of spoils than in the battle itself. Drift deeper now into this vision. The ship creaks beneath you, the hammocks sway, and the air grows heavier. You feel the itch of lice across your skin, the gnawing ache of hunger in your belly. Imagine your lips cracking from thirst, your teeth loose in your mouth from scurvy, your head pounding from rum-induced sickness. Imagine never washing, your hair crawling with vermin, your skin covered in sores. This is the pirate life, stripped bare of its romance, soaked instead in pain and filth. And still, it is not the physical alone that wears them down. It is the haunting weight of hopelessness. There is no future here. No pirate grows old at sea. Death comes by cannon, by rope, by disease, or by betrayal. They live knowing the horizon offers no home, only another day of scraping by. And so, every laugh they share, every song they sing, is not joy, but defiance, a fleeting flame against the endless dark of the ocean. You drift further into this picture, the sounds of waves soft in your ears, the cries of gulls fading, and now you see them anchored off a lonely island. They row ashore, seeking food, but the island offers little but coconuts, crabs, and poisonous berries that kill more than they nourish. Some pirates collapse from fever here, left behind in the sand, their moans echoing as the ship sails away, for the crew cannot linger. They must always move, hunted, never welcome in port. At night, the deck is a place of shadows. A lantern swings, its light dim and flickering. Men huddle with mugs of rum, singing hoarse songs of death and longing. The captain sits apart, eyes sharp, one hand always near his pistol, for he knows any day may be his last, at the hands of enemy, storm, or even his own crew. The stars above are brilliant, but no one looks at them for comfort. They are a reminder of distance, of home, forever lost. And you, lying here safe in your bed, can feel your body sinking deeper, heavier, into the mattress. The story flows like water around you, and you begin to realize just how impossible such a life would be. Every moment is survival. Every breath is a gamble. And perhaps, as you drift closer to the edge of sleep, You know, you would not last a day in the horrible life of pirates. Still, let us stay with them a little longer. The sea swells and sighs, rocking the ship like a cradle. Yet this cradle is harsh, lined with wood and misery. A boy no older than 16 shivers in his hammock, eyes wide, still new to this life. He remembers the promises of gold, of adventure, of freedom, but now he sees only sickness, hunger, and cruelty. He wipes tears from his cheeks, but hides them, for weakness is dangerous here. A hardened man nearby snarls at him, tossing a bone gnawed clean of meat, mocking him for crying. And so, the boy learns quickly. If he wants to survive, he must become hard, cruel, unfeeling. But in truth, many do not survive. Many young men vanish into the sea before they see even their 20th year. The night grows colder. The waves lap gently, a rhythm soothing in its persistence. Lanterns flicker. The crew slumps into uneasy slumber, and the boy whispers prayers into the dark, prayers to be spared another day. The ship groans, the ropes creak, and somewhere, far below, sharks circle endlessly, patient, waiting. Your breathing softens, steady with the sea. Inhale and exhale, letting the weight of the story ease you further into comfort. You know you are safe, warm, clean, with none of these horrors upon you. The story is only a vision, a passing dream, carrying you deeper into rest. Tomorrow, the pirates will wake again, to hunger and pain. Tomorrow, they may fight and bleed, or rot in their hammocks. But tonight, you need not. Tonight, you let the rhythm of the sea carry you, and you drift, and you sink, and you rest. Close your eyes now, and take in another deep, calm breath, allowing the weight of the day to gently dissolve into the background. Each inhale fills you with softness and peace, and each exhale releases anything heavy or distracting. You are safe here, and my voice will guide you deeper into a world that feels both far away and strangely close, as if you're drifting back through time, rocking slowly on the tide of memory. Let yourself sink into the imagery, as if you are reclining in a small boat, the waves lapping softly against the hull, carrying you further into the story. Our journey tonight continues across the endless horizon of the sea, where the life of pirates was not filled with glamour and freedom, but with harsh winds, sickness, and sorrow. A life that you, dear listener, would not have survived. Imagine yourself standing on the deck of a wooden vessel, the boards beneath your bare feet rough and splintered. The night is quiet, save for the creaking of the ship and the sigh of the waves. A lantern swings above, its dim glow barely cutting through the dark, salty mist. You can smell the ocean, sharp, briny, unrelenting. This is where our tale of survival, or rather, the lack of it, unfolds. Pirates were not the romanticized adventurers you might picture from tales and films. They were weary men, weathered by storms and plagued by hunger. Their lives balanced constantly between fleeting moments of treasure and long stretches of suffering. Tonight, you will walk among them, feel the bite of their hardships, and understand why so few could ever endure such a life. Our story continues on a warm Caribbean night. The sea stretches endlessly, And though the stars scatter like jewels across the sky, there is little beauty for the men aboard the ship. Their clothes cling to them with sweat and grime. Their stomachs ache, having gone days on stale biscuits riddled with weevils. You reach for one yourself, and when you bite down, the crunch of an insect between your teeth makes you gag. Yet, there is no other choice. Fresh food spoils within days on a ship, and water stored in barrels soon tastes foul and green with algae. The pirates endure, but each sip and bite feels like another small punishment. You would not last long, your body craving nourishment, your mind longing for something fresh, something clean. Now picture the sun rising, casting an unforgiving heat upon the deck. The boards scorch your feet, and the salt from yesterday's sweat stings your skin. You try to find shade, but there is none. The sails above hang heavy and still, for the wind has died, and with it, the hope of movement. A dead calm, the sailors call it. A nightmare at sea. Weeks can pass without a breath of wind, leaving men trapped with dwindling rations and growing desperation. The stillness is maddening. The ocean, vast and beautiful, becomes a prison. Your lips crack. Your tongue sticks to the roof of your mouth. Some men go mad, whispering to ghosts that linger just beyond the bow. You would not survive such endless waiting, such slow torture of thirst and heat. And then, when storms do come, they are merciless. Imagine the sky darkening, clouds gathering, like an army across the heavens. The wind screams, whipping the sails and tearing ropes from the sailors' hands. Rain pelts your skin like stones, and the ship heaves violently as waves rise taller than houses. You cling to the railing, your knuckles white, as the deck tilts sharply beneath you. The sea roars, and for a moment, you believe it has swallowed the world. The pirates rush to secure the sails, their shouts drowned in the storm's fury. Many do not make it. Some are washed overboard, their cries lost forever. You know in your heart that if you were there, you would not survive. The ocean would claim you quickly, pulling you down into its cold, endless depths. And yet, storms and hunger were only part of the pirates' misery. Disease lingered aboard every vessel, like an invisible ghost. Scurvy, born of the absence of fresh fruits and vegetables, gnawed at the sailors' bodies. Their gums swelled, bleeding with every word they tried to speak. Their teeth fell loose, their skin bruised at the slightest touch, and their joints ached with a pain no rum could dull. Picture yourself in their place, your body weakening, your breath foul, your strength abandoning you with each passing day. No medicine, no comfort, only the slow unraveling of life. You would not survive the weeks it took for scurvy to strip a man of his vitality. Then there was dysentery, the dreaded flux. Imagine the stench of sickness filling the narrow, cramped quarters below deck. The air is thick, damp, and suffocating. Men moan in the dark, unable to rise from their hammocks. Buckets overflow, the filth spreading from one sailor to another. You step carefully, but there is no escaping it. Flies swarm, and the smell clings to your skin. You would not last in such squalor. The lack of air, the unclean water, the endless filth, it would break you swiftly. And if disease or hunger did not take you, violence surely threatened to. Life among pirates was a life without mercy. Disagreements turned to bloody brawls. A man might be struck with a belaying pin, stabbed with a knife, or tossed overboard for stealing a share of rum. Discipline was brutal. Imagine being tied to the mast and whipped until your back split open, salt rubbed into the wounds to ensure you remembered your lesson. Or picture being keel-hauled, a rope looped beneath the ship, dragging you through barnacles until your skin tore apart. Even pirates feared their own justice, for it was harsher than any courts. Would you survive such cruelty, such merciless punishment? No, you would not. And still, the sea offered dangers beyond storms and hunger. Sharks followed the ships, their fins cutting the water in patient circles. They waited always for the unlucky soul cast overboard. The knowledge of their presence haunted every man. The certainty that if he fell, he would be torn apart before another could even throw a rope. You, listening now, feel the chill of that truth. Your heart quickens at the thought of slipping on the wet deck, of plunging into that endless black water, of seeing fins approach in the moonlight. The fear alone would undo you. Yet, perhaps worst of all, was the loneliness. Picture nights when the stars stretched forever, and the sea whispered like a lullaby. You sit on deck, your head resting against the mast, your body weary from work. The world feels so far away, so unreachable. Months, even years, pass without setting foot on land. Your family, your home, your memories, they fade like mist on the horizon. Only the endless ocean remains. The silence is crushing. Men drink, sing, and laugh to mask it. But in the quiet of the night, their hearts ache with the weight of isolation. You, dear listener, would not survive such distance from warmth, from love, from the comfort of another's touch. And so, the life of a pirate was not the golden adventure often imagined, but a trial of pain, hunger, disease, violence, and despair. Each day was a battle, each night a prayer whispered into the dark. As you listen, your eyelids grow heavier, your breathing slower. You drift deeper into the rhythm of the waves, the creak of the timbers, the whisper of the sails. Let this story rock you gently, reminding you that while the life of pirates was harsh and unendurable, your own bed is soft, your room warm, your night safe. You are far from that brutal world, cradled instead in comfort and rest. The ocean stretches endlessly, but you are not adrift. My voice is your anchor, holding you steady as you drift toward sleep. Let the images fade now, the splintered deck, the raging storm, the empty stare of hungry men. They dissolve like mist as you surrender to rest. Breathe deeply. Feel your body sink into the softness beneath you, and allow the story to carry you gently into dreams. For the pirate's world was one you could not endure, but this world, your world, offers you peace. Your eyelids grow heavier still, and you drift. The waves are calm now, the stars bright and kind. Sleep calls to you like a gentle tide, pulling you into its safe embrace. And so you rest, far from the hardships of the sea, wrapped instead in the quiet of the night, the softness of your breath, and the peace that only dreams can bring. And so, our story drifts further into the heart of pirate life, where the silence between battles was often filled with longing, aches, and the slow erosion of human spirit. Imagine the moon rising once more above the restless ocean, its silver light falling on weathered sails. The men, though hardened by salt and steel, carried deep within them dreams of home, dreams that softened even the harshest heart. The sea was both cradle and grave, rocking them into drowsy despair, then shaking them awake with storms and cannon, fire. This duality was their curse. It is in this space between violence and silence that their humanity whispered the loudest. Their eyes, though fierce, often sought the horizon with a kind of quiet desperation, as though the endless sea might one day open and reveal peace instead of battle. The horrible truth of pirate life, dear listener, was not only in the hunger or the lash of a whip, nor even in the battles that tore men apart. It was in the unending repetition, the way each day bled into the next, salt upon salt, wave upon wave, loneliness upon loneliness. Close your eyes and imagine this cycle, drifting endlessly on waters that seem to have no end. The groaning of the ship's timbers became a lullaby, while the wind howling in the sails felt like a sigh that never ended. To sleep was to escape briefly, yet even dreams were often haunted by hunger, by ghosts of those lost, by memories of blood that stained the deck beneath them. Such a life, if you lived it even for a week, might feel like an eternity. There were nights when pirates gathered in hushed circles, voices lowered, sharing tales that blurred the line between truth and fantasy. They would whisper of treasure buried deep in sandy coves, of golden cities untouched by storm or steel. But more often, their stories turned inward, becoming confessions of loss, of mothers left behind, of wives never seen again, of children who would grow up believing their fathers were already dead. Imagine listening to those voices by a dim lantern, the flame flickering as if even it, too, were tired of burning. The sadness curled around them like smoke, unseen yet choking, heavier than any chain. And yet still they pressed on, for the sea allowed no pause, and survival left no room for sorrow. Let yourself adrift with them now, as the ship sails through another moonlit night. The water is dark, reflecting the stars as though a second sky rests beneath the waves. Each pirate lies in his hammock, rocked by the gentle sway of the vessel, yet none truly rest. Their bodies are weary, but their minds chase worries too sharp to quiet. Will tomorrow bring battle? Will the storm brewing to the east swallow the ship whole? Will the captain demand more blood to prove loyalty? Such thoughts kept them half awake, never fully surrendering to rest. And so, their lives stretched endlessly, caught between exhaustion and dread. In this twilight of wakefulness, their hearts softened, and the illusions of strength crumbled. You too can feel that tension, that fragile line between waking and sleep. Breathe slowly now, as they did, caught in that drifting place where reality blurs into dream. But not all horrors were hidden within the mind. Some were painted openly across the deck for all to see. Picture the punishment of one who disobeyed. A man lashed mercilessly, his cries carried on the wind, his body broken not for justice, but as a warning. Pirates were not free spirits, as legends suggest. They were bound by codes, some crueler than the laws of kings. Step out of line, and the sea itself seemed gentler than the wrath of a captain determined to keep order. And so, fear became their constant companion. Fear of storm, fear of hunger, fear of punishment, fear of death. It wrapped itself around every moment, coiling like a serpent, never letting go. Can you feel how heavy such fear must have been? A weight pressing down day and night until every breath became an effort, every smile a rarity. That, dear listener, is the true exhaustion of pirate life. Not the storms nor the battles, but the unending oppression of fear. Still, there were moments, rare as pearls, when the sea seemed to take pity. A calm morning, sunlight glittering like coins across the water, dolphins leaping alongside the ship as though mocking the grim men watching them, or the scent of land after months of nothing but salt and tar. Such moments broke the monotony, offered a glimmer of hope. Yet even then, pirates knew these gifts were fleeting. The calm sea could turn violent within hours, and the land that offered food might also hold soldiers ready to defend it. Nothing was safe. Nothing lasted. And so, hope became a dangerous thing, a flicker quickly snuffed out by reality. To survive, they learned not to hope too much, not to dream too vividly. Perhaps you feel that lesson too, that to hope is to risk heartbreak, and so they close themselves off, retreating deeper into silence. Our story today drifts toward the image of a young man, barely grown, taken from land to sea by the promise of adventure. He dreamed of gold, of songs sung in his name, of glory, but within weeks his skin was burned by sun, his stomach gnawed by hunger, his hands blistered by rope. The songs were replaced by screams, the gold by endless waves, the glory by scars. Imagine him lying awake one night, listening to the ocean whisper below, realizing he would never see his family again. The tears that slid down his cheeks disappeared into his beard, unnoticed by others, for sorrow was not something pirates shared aloud. It was buried, deep and silent, until it consumed them. If you lived such a life, dear listener, even one season of it, you might feel your soul unravel. And yet, here, in the safety of your bed, you only need to imagine it, to let the heaviness settle just enough to slow your thoughts, to sink into the quiet embrace of rest. The horrible life of pirates was not the swashbuckling fantasy told in tales. It was the smell of rot, the ache of hunger, the weight of fear, the loneliness of endless seas, the silence of dreams unspoken. And as you imagine it, let it soften your body into stillness, for you need not endure it, only drift alongside it for a time, and then release it. With each breath, you leave behind the salt, the fear, the hunger. With each exhale, you step back from their world, back into your own, where comfort surrounds you. Their life was chaos. Yours can now be calm. Their nights were haunted. Yours can be peaceful. Let their story lull you deeper, slower, toward sleep. And as the waves continue to rock gently in your mind, know that you are safe. You are warm. You are at peace. Their suffering remains only a story, while you float now into the softness of dreams. Let your breath match the slow rhythm of the tide. Let your body melt into stillness. The pirates fade. The sea grows silent. And you drift endlessly into the quiet shores of sleep. Our tale drifts onward, as though the tide itself has taken hold of our words and carries them softly into the night. You have followed the creak of timbers, the salted whispers of the sea, the hardships and cruelties endured by those bound to piracy's path. And yet, there is more to feel, more to wander through, before the lantern of our story burns out and leaves only embers of memory behind. The air in your imagination is steady and calm now. Picture yourself reclining, as though you've been traveling with these weary souls all along, and now you simply watch quietly while the chapters of their life unfold one by one, like waves endlessly curling and breaking upon the shore. With each breath, you sink deeper into ease, deeper into the lull, as the hypnotic rhythm of words guides you effortlessly further into stillness. Our story returns to the sea. Picture, if you will, a night without stars, only a heavy quilt of clouds stretching endlessly, cloaking the heavens. A pirate ship drifts along, its sails limp, the crew listless from exhaustion. Hunger gnaws at them, thirst cracks their lips, and despair crouches in every shadow. The life they chose, or the life forced upon them, has become a slow torment when the sea provides no bounty, when merchant vessels vanish like mirages. What is left but emptiness? You can feel the deep weariness in their bones, can imagine the ache in their stomachs, the rasp of their voices when they whisper curses into the night. And yet, amid this desolation, they cannot sleep easily. Fear stalks their rest, reminding them that at any moment a storm might rise, or a naval ship might loom out of the fog to end it all. This life, romanticized in tales told, later is now revealed to you as threadbare misery, a constant trial of endurance. But in your stillness, you are safe. You are not adrift upon their dangerous waters. You are simply listening, simply imagining, and every detail carries you further into calm surrender. Notice how your own breath rises and falls like the tide. Notice how the rhythm steadies as though aligned with the rocking of a ship at anchor. There is a hypnotic comfort in allowing yourself to drift here, watching history unfold like a dream you are not bound to, only floating beside it, detached, serene. Now let us wander deeper into the hardships that were hidden beneath the surface of pirate myth. Imagine, for instance, the wounds of battle. These men often fought with cutlasses, pistols, and boarding axes, crude weapons that tore flesh and shattered bone. In an age without proper medicine, without clean bandages, or trained surgeons, a single gash could fester and turn deadly. Picture the dimly lit hold of a ship where a crewmate lies upon rough planks, groaning with fever. Another attempts to stitch the wound with unsteady hands, perhaps using thread better suited for sails than for skin. The stench of infection lingers, mixing with tar and damp wood. In such conditions, many did not survive. Yet for the crew, life pressed on, because the sea allowed no pause. One man's suffering became part of the ship's background, an echo of humanity dulled by the constant roar of survival. And still, in your listening, the horror does not cling to you. It softens, it drifts like smoke, leaving only a quiet reflection, a reminder of how fragile life once was, and how gentle your own existence feels in comparison, cushioned now in the cradle of stillness. The punishments among pirates, though often portrayed as wild and lawless, were in truth brutal and exacting. Discipline was harsh. A thief might be marooned, left alone upon a barren spit of land, with nothing but a pistol and a single shot. A cruel choice between starvation or a swifter end. Imagine the loneliness of such a place, No voices, no sails upon the horizon, only the unbroken sound of waves and the endless sweep of sky. The sand burns hot by day, and the cold bites deep at night. A body grows weak, mind drifting between desperation and hallucination. You can almost feel the emptiness of such exile, the desolation of waiting for death, with nothing but gulls circling overhead. Yet for you, here and now, that loneliness transforms into a kind of peace. The imagined stillness of that deserted isle blends into your own calm, and instead of fear, it brings a deepening quiet. You, unlike the marooned, are not abandoned. You are held gently by the rhythm of the story, by the steady anchor of your own breath, and still the ship sails on. At times, pirates did capture treasures, but gold was rare. More often, they found mundane cargo, salted fish, barrels of water, cloth, or timber. Their treasures were survival itself. Think of the disappointment in their eyes when a seized vessel yields nothing of value. Imagine the mutterings of discontent, the whispers of revolt against the captain. Life upon these ships balanced always upon the knife's edge of loyalty and betrayal, and you, drifting with the sound of these words, notice how even betrayal here does not stir you. It only lulls you further, for you are outside of it, gazing upon the struggles of others as though from a distance, safe and wrapped in the stillness of your own night. Perhaps the greatest hardship was not hunger, nor wounds, nor punishment, but the weight of endless uncertainty. Pirates never knew when their days would end. At any hour, a cannon's roar could shatter the air. A storm could scatter them into the deep, or sickness could sweep through the deck. Sleep came uneasily to them, for danger pressed always against the edges of their lives. And yet, for you, their unease becomes your comfort. For in contrast, your night is safe, your bed is soft, your breath is steady. Theirs was a life of turmoil, but for you, hearing it told slowly, gently, it becomes only a story, one that carries you deeper into ease with each passing image. So let us drift finally into the close of their tale. Picture the horizon painted in soft hues of dawn, pale gold brushing against silver seas. A pirate ship, battered and weary, limps across the water, sails torn, crew diminished. They are shadows now of the fierce legends that would later be woven about them. Their lives have been carved from hardship, and soon their names will vanish into history, leaving behind only whispers, only stories retold by the fire. Yet here, in your imagination, they remain alive for a moment longer, suffering, enduring, surviving, against odds that would break most souls. And as you see them fade, you release them gently, letting the story dissolve like mist as the morning sun rises. Your own breath deepens now. The words grow softer, slower, as though the tide itself retreats, leaving you upon a calm and quiet shore. The creak of timbers fades, the salt air drifts away, and only stillness surrounds you. Feel the warmth of rest approaching, the heavy softness of your body sinking deeper into comfort. You are safe, you are calm, you're ready to let sleep embrace you fully. The pirate's hardships no longer trouble your thoughts. They dissolve into the distance, like a ship vanishing upon the horizon. So rest, dear listener, rest with the ease of knowing their world is far behind you, and yours is a sanctuary of peace. Let go now, Let every word settle like gentle sand upon the seabed, covering all tension, smoothing every worry. The story has ended, but its rhythm continues within you, rocking you softly, as though cradled by the calmest tide. Sleep now, as the last of the lantern's glow fades, and the sea of dreams opens before you. Sleep deeply, quietly, until morning light comes to find you safe and renewed.